Hi, it's me again. Welcome back. Want to do a video entitled Pete and Repeat, or the Parrot Effect, or Parroting. I wrote a blog article on this some time back. It's on my blog, also on our website. If you'd like to see some of our articles, may not be the most thrill-a-minute way of getting across the message to you, but I just wanted to read this very short article and then briefly discuss. Quote, "One thing that never ceases to amaze me is the level of hypocrisy that many enemies of Christianity espouse. For instance, when discussing the Bible, sharing the gospel, or debating the proofs for Christianity, I'm often met with accusations, implied or plainly said, that I'm only repeating what I've been told to believe. More specifically, the implication is that I'm only believing what I was taught as a child and have never considered the fact that I could be wrong. I'm simply repeating what the preacher tells me to say because as a Christian I'm a mind-numbed robot that never challenged his religion's own assumptions. The fact is, I have challenged every premise and claim of the Christian faith, and it is the very reason my passion for proclaiming and defending the message and the claims of the Bible is so strong." Before I go further, I want to acknowledge that there are indeed many Christians who are so in name only. I also acknowledge that many Christians do indeed only believe the Bible because it's what they were taught as a child. There are many who have never sought to not only know what they claim to believe, but more importantly, why they should. Now let me share a little secret with you. This phenomenon is found in all beliefs. Most folks, and I do mean most, whether Christian, Muslim, Hindu, et al., and yes, even atheists, are simply repeating arguments that they have heard without challenging any assumptions of those beliefs. They're towing the party line, if you will. For instance, in almost every encounter with Muslims that I've had, I'm accused of only believing Christianity because I grew up in America. Now, never mind how far from the truth this is, well, in my case. In fact, it has been 100% of the time in my personal experience that they are the ones doing that very thing. Recently, this happened again. The person who made the accusation now, keep in mind, this person made this accusation, they had never even picked up a Bible, quote. He did not even know what the Gospels were, much less that there are 4 of them. In contrast, I've read the Quran in English, parts of the Hadith, and many books on Islam from Muslim and non-Muslim authors. In fact, in many cases, talking with Muslims, I found out I know more about their religion than they do. Now, who is the one simply repeating arguments without examining his own claims? It's laughable and downright pathetic. How many Muslims who make claims about the Bible, yet they don't even know what's in it? There's only one explanation for this. They are simply repeating, without examining the claims, what the leaders tell them to think about the Bible, accusing me of blindly accepting my beliefs, yet guilty of this themselves. Another group I run into this issue with are atheists. The modern and lofty-minded atheist is too enlightened to believe in anything other than what he can see and looks down upon religionists as silly and ignorant. Yet again, in almost every case, not an original thought is among the arguments brought against me. All I hear are the tired arguments from atheists of the 18th and 19th centuries being regurgitated but presented in the present as as something new and more intellectual. Recently I was told by an atheist that King James had changed the Bible when he translated it. Was this an accusation based on historical proofs that this person had studied to ensure their accuracy? No! Again! He was simply repeating what he had been told to believe about the Bible and never challenged to see if it was true. It would have taken him 2.5 seconds of research to realize that King James did not translate the Bible. A group of scholars did, about 47 in all, if I remember correctly. Next, I challenged him to demonstrate where in the Bible King James had made this change. Well, he said, there's this one place where the word translated this really means that. Then I answered, really? Can you show me where that's at in the Bible? And while you're at it, can you also show me in the Greek how and where King James got it wrong? As suspected, he couldn't remember where the verse was, of course, and naturally he wouldn't know Greek if it slapped him in the face. So obviously he would not be able to demonstrate how the word was mistranslated by King James for ulterior motives. So let's do the math. The atheist comes to me, accusing me of believing the Bible purely on blind faith without a shred of evidence, yet he is the one believing things without knowing any evidence of the claims he is repeating. Okay? Wow, how intellectual. In contrast, I've spent many hours examining the arguments for atheism, reading authors such as Thomas Huxley et al., all about the evolution and all that stuff. Anyway, in addition to many other of their arguments against the Bible, I do this for several reasons, and one of them is to understand and accurately reflect the beliefs of those I'm debating with. So who's Pete and who's repeat? The conclusion, excuse me, while Christians seem to get the blame for this, most people only know and repeat what they have learned and been told without challenge. This goes for every religion, belief, philosophy at all. The Bible is clear that the heart of man is deceitful and wicked, and that we are sinners hopelessly dead in our sins without Christ. It also maintains that anyone who seeks finds. The truth is there for the taking for all who will believe. Unfortunately, what people believe in most cases is what they want to believe, and simply repeating arguments that seemingly justify their position. Unquote. I added some things that weren't in the article in there, but the point being that most people do this, and while Christians do seem to get the blame for this a lot, it's pretty much everybody. There are very few people that have taken the time to really research and study and seek things out for themselves. And I would encourage anybody and everybody to, in fact, do that. You need to look at what the other side says about your arguments. I certainly do. You need to weigh them out, see if they're true, see what makes sense, see what doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying that all Muslims are like this, and I'm not saying that all atheists are like this. And in my experience, I've hardly met a large percentage of the 6 billion people that are on Earth. However, in my personal experience, as I said in the article, this has been, well, my experience. So I would encourage you to do what I do. Now, some people, even though I do painstakingly try to represent the other side, I still get accused of not representing the other side. That's fine. That's going to happen. You're not going to make everybody happy, and I'm certainly not trying to convince anyone. I'm just trying to present my argument. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll talk to you next time.